So happy Friday again, everybody. Doing something a little bit different and been a busy week, a lot of legwork. I am at that stage of my project where I'm on my job site pretty much every day. It's very hands-on right now so that when punch out time comes, there are no unpleasant surprises. Not just for my sake, but for the people that work for me as well. So decided to take a few minutes, have a little couch convo, a little glass of wine before I go have some ladies' night shenanigans with friends later. But been doing a lot of learning with the Grant Cardone program, Unbreakable 2023, and his success suggestions. And one thing that he talks about a lot is you have to do the things that other people are uncomfortable doing or refuse to do. To kind of stand out and to kind of be present, right? And so he also says money follows attention, which is very true. So I'm trying to be very strategic in that presence. And another thing he talks about is the importance of telling your story. So not just your work story and work updates, but a little bit about your story as a person and who you are. And I think that is an important thing too, because it helps people out there have a better understanding of us as human beings, and not just as real estate professionals or people. And so this is the first piece of my story, I guess you could say. And I thought that maybe I would just do some little segments, different days, different pieces of my story, not just one long, boring story. So over here on that wall, maybe you could see it, that is my rack of race medals. There's probably only about 22 or so hanging on there. There were a lot of them that we didn't necessarily get a medal on. At any rate, it used to be really tough for me to look at that rack because in March of 2017, I completed my 6th Gate River Run, and it was my 57th race in 5 years in the Jacksonville area as a competitive runner. And about halfway up the Hart Bridge, I blew out my left knee completely. Orthopedic surgeons said it actually blew up, like exploded. Didn't know that was a thing. So I had no choice but to get a total knee replacement in June or July of 2017. Not only was it a big eye-opening recovery for me because I was a very fit athlete and just very quickly could not even walk across a floor for 8 weeks. I could barely walk maybe 5 or 6 feet at a time. And I went to physical therapy on a daily basis, and I had, an ice machine and you name it going. But I learned quickly how vulnerable you can easily become and the things that we just don't think about until we have to think about them. I also realized I would never be able to run or race again. And running was not just like a hobby. And if anybody's a runner, they'll understand exactly what I mean by that. It is an integral part of a runner's lifestyle, as much so as eating a meal or brushing your teeth or, there's a lot of mental and emotional catharsis that goes into all of your training runs that you do on a regular basis all week, not just the races that you do like maybe once a month or whatever. I was very devastated. I was very depressed for 2 years after that surgery. Didn't really realize how depressed I was, but I kind of let a lot of things go, professionally and physically, definitely the fitness part. And of course, metabolism changes when you hit 50, so that happened too. But anyway, I just did no self-discipline of any kind. I don't really care for the inside of a gym, to be honest. Hate the treadmill. So I did work with personal trainers and things like that, and just really never found something else I loved enough to replace running with. But since being a business owner, and that has happened after the surgery, occasionally I do have to remind myself that those medals are not just hanging there to remind me of a better, stronger, more fit individual who ran and raced for 10 years, but maybe actually longer than that, more, 57 races in 6 years, but I was a runner for probably 20 or 25 years. But at any rate, I have to remind myself that I am still that person. I'm just not that runner anymore. And I would be that runner if I could. 100%. I would give anything to be able to still do that. But I have to use the same love for running. And I have found that love in my business. I love what I do. I love rehabbing and restoring homes and seeing the change that you can make, especially, most of my projects are not your simple little in and out cosmetic flips. So I have found the passion that I had for running in my work. So that's awesome, because I am not Pat Flynn, who stays really motivated and really driven and able to inspire people around me just by my presence. I wish I was that way. I wish I could be around somebody like that all the time, because it's very, very helpful for me, because I can get in a funk. But it is critical to know what your passion is. And if what you're doing every day isn't something you're passionate about, if you don't really just love it, if you don't kind of look forward to the next project, the next day, the next whatever it is, maybe you're in the wrong business. Maybe you're doing the wrong thing, because all I know is this is career number 3 for me. My first one, I started very young. I was like 15 or 16 years old, and started in the hospitality industry, ended up in the regional management level of that, and then got out of that and went into education, which I was passionate about for a very long time. And then systems and politics and things kind of changed that. And then I also just kind of adopted a passion for something else and realized that I wasn't giving my true love and passion to the field of education anymore. It was time to get out. So that's part of my story. That's a little bit about who I am. And the reason I'm sharing this is take a good look. Take a look at who you are, what drives you, what makes you excited in your life. Like, what in your job, what in your work makes you excited, makes you inspired. When you do get in a funk, when you get tired, what is it that gets you out of bed every day? Your kids might be part of it and your family might be part of it, but don't put that burden on them. Don't make them responsible for your happiness and your passion and your power, because that's too much responsibility for them. What in your life besides them do you really, really want to do? And make sure that that's what you're doing, because life doesn't go on forever. And you're probably doing yourself a big injustice, as well as maybe the people you're serving or not serving, if you're not really passionate and loving what you do. So that's part 1 of my story. That's a little bit of my feedback and thought process and reflection on the topic of sharing pieces of ourselves. So Hope you all have a wonderful week next week, and please tune in for Manifestation Monday.